W. Smith. So check this out, right? I'm reading the Wikipedia page about uh, Indian slavery, right? And you know, right away, I'm finding all kinds of stuff um, that shows that when they were talking about Indians enslaving Indians, they were literally talking about us being enslaved by our own. You know what I'm saying? Um, I was reading a part where they talked about, the fact that other Indians would cut off the warrior's foot of other people they would capture, you know, and then sell them to Europeans so they couldn't. So then it automatically the warrior couldn't run away. So if he was enslaved, he was like enslaved. You know what I mean? Like there was no warrior left in him. There was no fight left in him. And I was thinking about that movie Roots and Kuta Kande or whatever his name is, and how he had his foot cut off. You know what I'm saying? The runaway there. The comparison. I think that's where the European got that from. Uh, just a lot of backstabbing, a lot of Native American groups enslaving other ones and then selling them to the settlers, in the 13 colonies. So they had slaves. Once they were owned by those people, then their titles were changed from being natives to slave African American slaves. I thought that was pretty slick how they did that. Oh, there was if you look up Red Tail Hawk, he and his mom, they have a definitions. Not definitions. What are they called? Oh, they have uh, books that they were reading from, and they give law definitions. That's what it was of what a Negro was, how to identify one, and how to identify the Native American. And I thought this was pretty funny. I mean, it was slick, but at the same time, it, just listen. When she was reading, she said that if you had one drop of Negro blood in you, you were a native, right? When you're reading this. But she said if you have 3/4 Negro blood in you, then you're an African American. Or you're the African, I'm sorry. And I just thought that was pretty crazy. They still went off the Negro blood to decide who was a native and who wasn't. But then, if you had too much in their eyes, oh, well, then you're an African. You know what I'm saying? And she sort of goes into it. Her and her son, they go into it about how this was based off of I believe it was called the Bacon War or the Bacon Battles. I gotta look into it, but the brief, knowledge that I have about it, it was basically the indentured slaves, the ones that they want to tell you about now, the whites that were enslaved that they want to tell you about now, that all whites want to label themselves under, even though we know there was only a certain few people that were able to call themselves white. Everybody else that we call white today were not allowed. They knew the difference. They knew that an Italian was not white, but nowadays in society, people call Italians white. They knew that the what was it? The Irish weren't white, but nowadays under today's labels, we call even the Irish white because we live by colorful laws. You know what I'm saying? But back then, from what I understand, the indentured slaves, the white indentured slaves, were lied to by the elite. Told that they were going to get land and all this other stuff if they worked for them. And they did their part, and they didn't get the land, they didn't get any of the stuff they were promised. So they finally had a revolt, and they were like, "This isn't a good image. We're the Christians, blah blah blah. The Indians and the Negroes or whatever, they're looking at us, and we're more barbaric than they are. So we got to put together a system, or how let's call it a caste system. That the elite are on the top, you, the indentured slaves, you're right beneath us, and then beneath you, you have your new slaves, the Negro Indians. You know what I'm saying? So you're no longer slaves to us, but these people are your slaves. So it gives them a sense of pride and priority. I got to go into that more, but that was just a little bit that Red Tail Hawk and his mom, were breaking down. I thought that was pretty interesting because that, you don't hear too much about all that, brought up. So I'm gonna leave everything that I found in the description box. Check it out when you can. Oh, one last thing, I also came across pyramids and statues that are off the coast of Cuba and Jamaica. They're sunken in the water. And I thought something was interesting as they were showing the images of some of the peoples statues of the people they found there, just like the Egyptians that they found that hidden city under the water near Egypt, or that's in the Mediterranean or whatever. All the noses are broken off. You got the face, the eyes, and all that, but the nose are off. You know, just like what was his name? That one Napoleon and his men did. I just thought that was interesting. And I want to see where that leads, because I didn't know that there was sunken anything off the islands. So that shows us that once again the way that we perceive this country, the way the land mass is not the same as it was back in the day, because there's no way you're building an underground a city underwater. You see what I'm saying? Like, that would have been above sea level at one time. So that was something I thought was pretty interesting when I came across that. I think that was it. Anyways, have a good day, everyone.